Welcome to Sydney's Eastern Creek Raceway for the Tui's Top Alcohol Showdown. Hi, I'm Kevin Prendergast, and joining me as guest commentator today, David Cook from Dragster Australia. We start today's action with Super Modified Eliminator. This is a heads-up bracket for dragsters, sedans, you name it, on a 790 index. David, welcome to the microphone. A great day's racing ahead.
Yes, thank you, Kevin. It certainly is an exciting day's prospect of racing we have in front of us here. And on the track right at the moment, we've got Wayne Missingham in his Pro Stock Pontiac. He's running up against Jeff Penton in his Double C Dragster.
But all of these cars competing in Super Modified today are normally a class-type car of some description. Today's Eliminator is a unique and new breed of racing for Eastern Creek Raceway. Basically, it's a heads-up on a 790 index. First to the end wins, and I think we'll be in for some great racing.
Yes, this sort of racing brings out the traditional drag racer in just about everybody on the racetrack these days. The idea of running heads-up against your competitor, first to the end wins.
The cars are running on a pro start. We'll see that coming as they come into stage. Great lead there from Missingham. He's got a good lead, but I tell you what, the dragster is just cruising by. The supercharged dragster will cruise through for the win, and as they come across the top, we see that Jeff Penton takes the win with an 8.21, 162 mile an hour pass. Wayne Missingham 8.30, 169.75 for the lose.
Yes, I think the dragster had plenty up its sleeve in performance there.
Moving now to the next pairing in Super Modified Eliminator, Dennis Young in the front engine dragster, one of the older style cars here at Eastern Creek Raceway. And in fact, this car was originally a top fuel dragster, now very, very competitive in A dragster class, but today, of course, running Super Modified.
Yeah, the dragster actually was the first car to run 200 miles per hour in Australia. It's been much rebuilt since then, but it's certainly got a lot of history under those body panels. It was actually owned by Ash Marshall. Many old drag racing fans would remember his name.
Okay, as they back the dragster up after the burnout in the wins lane, John Zalukovic. Now, John comes from Orange. He's driving a supercharged Commodore. It's a Wild Bunch car, but John Zalukovic, his first time in serious competition here at Eastern Creek Raceway.
So John's an old-time racer from the early days in Castlereagh. He's been doing a lot of boat racing in recent years, but I think he's going to find the asphalt a completely different deal to running on the water.
Here at Eastern Creek Raceway, it's a beautiful day. A nice crowd just building up now as they move into stage. In the snap-on tools lane, we have the dragster, and in the wins lane, John Zalukovic. This is a heads-up pro start. Waiting for the tree to come down. Off the start line will make the difference, and a great lead there from the dragster. Picked up 3 or 4 car lengths over this off the start line, and there's no way Zalukovic is going to catch him from there.
Yeah, it's obviously the experience for Dennis Young showing through there. Zalukovic is a boat racer where reaction times aren't quite as important. He's obviously shown that he's inexperienced with the quarter mile.
And the win going to the dragster with an 8.81 second pass. Moving now to the second qualifier, Ben Gatt in the Superflow Heads Falcon. This car normally competes either in Super Stock as a double B gas car or in the, of course, very famous Wild Bunch Eliminator. And opposite him, another Wild Bunch car, and that's Jeff Devlin from Canberra.
Yes, Jeff's running under Win television sponsorship this weekend, and in fact it looks like he's going to have a permanent relationship with the Win network. And Jeff's keen to put on a good show here for his new sponsors. Ben Gatt there with the New South Wales Wild Bunch logo on the rear windscreen after being the captain of the New South Wales versus Queensland Wild Bunch competition only last month. Ben's looking forward to running a 7 here. Up to this time of this run, he has done 25 consecutive 8.0 second runs and is just dying to run a 7.9 at least.
Okay, Ben qualified in number 2 position with an 8.02 second pass. Jeff Devlin qualified in number 7 position with an 8.67. So one would have to say that Ben Gatt, based on his experience in that string of 8.0s, is certainly the odds-on favourite here. But you never know in drag racing. It all stops when the tree counts down. As they move into stage now, drag racing, of course, there are 2 beams on the start line that dictate the start position for the cars. And as we see them creep into stage, staging lights will come up, and then the flash of amber, and they're gone. Ben Gatt, a great lead there, but Jeff Devlin, obviously a problem. The car seems to have broken. Ben Gatt taking a cruise through for the win as Jeff Devlin's towed away. Ben Gatt the win with another 8.08 at 169.24 mile per hour.
Yes, Devlin broke the gearbox there, and that was his problem. Okay, coming into the burnout area now is Joe Polito in Shell Wetherall Park Pro Stock Ford Probe, and Andrew Constantinou in his Double B Gas Holden. I notice Constantinou there is running without the front bodywork. He's had quite a deal of trouble this weekend. Did a huge wheel stand during qualifying and bent the front chassis work, and they had an all-night job to rebuild the front of the car and put a set of wheelie bars under the back. And then in qualifying this morning did a practice pass, came back into the pits and had a minor accident with the side of a garage and broke the fiberglass front bodywork off the car. So he's running here today, this afternoon without any front bodywork. It's going to be like pushing a house through the air.
Yes, and Joe Polito, of course, very swoopy car, Pro Stock Eliminator, the carburetted, the equivalent, I guess, for drag racing of touring cars. This should be a very interesting match race. There is a new combination in the Eastern Creek Performance Monaro, and as David's already said, they've had a heck of a weekend. I'd really say that they haven't put down a full pass to date, and I would expect Polito should be able to handle this one fairly easily. Very swoopy car. Polito used to the Pro Start heads up leave, and there it once again proves it. Just drives away off the start line. Obviously another trouble pass for Constantinou as Polito drives through the top end and takes the win with an 8.40, 157.29 mile an hour. Andrew Constantinou, very, very troubled 11-second pass. Moving now to today's feature eliminator, that's the Tui's Top Alcohol Showdown. On screen, the #1 qualifier in Top Alcohol, the David Glenwright driven Adrian Posibon Racing dragster. This car qualified in #1 position with a 6.236 second pass. We started yesterday's qualifying with 8 Top Alcohol dragsters, but unfortunately the Terry Sainty driven dragster damaged the engine in qualifying, and subsequently Posibon will get a bye in the unengined field. David, some great racing about to come up here.
Yes, we're going to see some excellent racing today. These are some of the best top alcohol races in the world here this weekend. Australia's got a very strong core of them, and in fact this car on the screen now, the Adrian Posibon owned dragster, is world class. It's got 5-second potential on the right track on the right day, and in fact yesterday they had a heap of horsepower wound into the engine. Thought the track could hold it, but it just blew the tyres off. They took a bunch of horsepower out to qualify this morning, to run that 6.236, but that convinced them that the track is improving, so they've come in today with a bit more horsepower in the first round. Let's just see what the car will do.
Okay, as David moves the car into staging, the Top Alcohol cars normally between 400 and 450 cubic inches, and they run approximately 2,000 horsepower. Let's see them over the top end. This will set the scene for today's racing. Yes, and it's a great time, a 6.15, 226 mile per hour pass. That moves David Glenwright into round 2 of Top Alcohol, and we'll be back soon with some great racing here at the Tui's Top Alcohol Showdown. Welcome back to Sydney's Eastern Creek Raceway for the Tui's Top Alcohol Showdown, and we're in the round 1 of the Top Alcohol. An explanation of Top Alcohol is a supercharged 450 to 500 cubic inch engine. Most of them are Chrysler Hemis. They're fitted to dragsters, Aldens and funny cars, and we now see on the start line a funny car. This is driven by Harold Campbell all the way from Townsville. David, this man is a real showman.
Yes, he calls his car Insanity, and for very good reason. This guy is a wild driver. He's been known to do some pretty crazy things on drag strips, all quite safe, he reckons, but the fans really love this guy.
Huge burnout there from the Insanity car in the Snap-on Tools lane. His opposition, Steve Reed in the Chevy Beretta. He's located in the Wins lane as we see the cars back up from the burnout, the smoke just clearing now. Steve Reed qualified in #3 position with a 6.26 second pass. He's driving a Chevy Beretta with a 540 cubic inch Keith Black racing engine on board. Steve Reed and Jim Reed have really been the pace setters in Australian Top Alcohol racing for a while. but the Insanity car qualified fairly well in a number 6 with a 680. Harold was fairly comfortable with that. David, you'd have to say that Steve Reed's most likely to take the win here.
Yes, Steve would be the favourite in this race. He's a very experienced driver. His father has been racing for 20 years. Stephen's grown up around the sport since he was very young and has been driving now this level of car for at least the last 8 to 10 years. And Harold Campbell, a lot less experience, but he's a pretty wild guy and he's got a lot of ability, so we might well see a turnover.
Okay, as they move into stage now, we can see the cars side by side. In the wins lane, Stephen Reed and the Insanity car in the Snap-on Tools lane. Head-on shot now, we're waiting for the lights to come. Leaving the start line, Steve Reed, a huge wheel stand there, absolute, looks like all over the track, absolutely out of control. As we watch the car go down, hits the wall very, very hard. And again, unfortunately, this is going to be very bad for the car. Looks all in one piece though, but Stephen Reed, the car obviously overpowered the track, plenty of traction, and just literally went right up on the wheelie bars. There we see the hatch come out. Steve's obviously okay as he climbs up the top. One of the Andra personnel coming to have a look at the car there. Going to the front of the car, lifting it up, making sure it's okay.
Yeah, I'd say the car was very seriously damaged. There's plainly Steve's quite okay, but I'd guess by the look of it the front end is off the car, and I'd say this car is probably pretty effectively a write-off. That whole left-hand side of the car has taken a pretty heavy pounding, and I'd say the chassis would be bent beyond use. That body certainly looks like a throwaway item. Wheels, fire bottles, fuel tank, headers, everything down that left side of the car will be gone. Okay, replay.
Taking a look at the replay now, as they leave the start line, yes, the car literally drove straight up and then bounced back down again. I would say that when it came down, it probably broke the suspension and hence the steering, and Steve literally having no control over the car, and the car riding down the wall. As the safety crew just packing the car up there now, they'll remove the car. Obviously very damaged. You see the wheels flopping around there. That's an indication that the steering broke. That's Steve Reed there. Debbie Reed, his wife, being comforted by one of the photographers. Obviously, yes, very much damaged there. These things do happen in racing, but it's certainly bad to see a car like that damaged. However, Harold Campbell went on to take the win, which he did with a 6.746 second pass. And we move to the next pairing. Stan Tyndall in a dragster up against John Noonan in the Top Gun dragster you now see on the screen. And we're now looking at Stan Tyndall. This is a brand new car to Australian drag racing. And David, it looks like it's going to make a big impression.
My word, Kevin, this is a beautiful car. The best, very best that money can buy in the United States. Stan is actually retired. He went to the United States several years ago, became very interested in dragboat racing, took the Americans on at their own game and actually set all the records over there, and he went on to win the World Dragboat Championship, but became very worried about the safety aspects of the boats and decided to go dryland racing. Went to all the experts, found out exactly what you had to have to go down an asphalt drag strip, and this is the result. Beautiful car. He ran it once in the United States and ran a 6.12 second time. That failed to qualify him in a very tough American field, but here that would certainly stand him in good stead.
Yes, he qualified yesterday with a 6.239 second, only 0.03 of a second away from the top qualifying position, but his first real race in Australia, a very, very good performance. He's in the Snap-on Tools lane. John Noonan in the Top Gun dragster is in the Wins lane. John Noonan qualified with a 6.517 pass, and as they move into stage, this should be a very, very interesting race.
Yes, Kevin, the Top Gun car has a smaller engine capacity this meeting. This is the first time they've run this combination. It's allowed them to take a bit of weight out of the car, about 235 pounds out of the car, and that's a lot in these cars that weigh less than 2,000 pounds at the best of times. Okay, waiting for the green light. Noonan gets away with a very good start, but plainly he appears to have a problem right now, and Stan Tyndall runs away to a very easy win.
Yes, Stan Tyndall just literally drove away. Obviously John Noonan, some form of mechanical problem there, and the win goes to Stan Tyndall with a 6.214 second pass at 228.31 mile per hour. That's the top mile an hour for Top Alcohol as we move into Super Comp Eliminator. Super Comp Eliminator is a combination of super stock and competition eliminators running on handicap. That's a national class record handicap, and we see on the screen now the Jeff Hogan built CMS Bonaro.
Yes, Hogan has teamed up with fellow Newcastle racer Maury Wilkie to field this car. It's a very nice combination. Once again, two experienced drag racers combining their talents to produce a very good car. And in the far lane there we can see Canberra's Simon Farrell. This is another very nice car, again showing plenty of professionalism in the presentation of these vehicles. The Farrell team are having a little bit of problem getting the car to go down the track quite as quickly as they would hope, but this B gas entry should still have quite a bit of potential, and once again it shows the rising standard of presentation being made in these vehicles here at Eastern Creek.
Yes, it's very pleasing. Jeff Hogan and Maury Wilkie came back at the last meeting in Eastern Creek and were in fact runner-up in Superstock Eliminator. They're running in CMS, which is a handicap of 11.72 seconds. The B-Gas car of Simon Farrell runs on a record of 8.94 seconds. So we're in a handicap racing situation here. The Wilkie engine's entry will make the handicap start, and then it will be up to the Monaro in the wins lane to do the catch-up. They're just finishing their preliminary burnouts now, moving into stage. Remembering we're back to our handicap racing, so you'll see the difference in the cars leaving the start line. We really do have the chase down situation here at the top end of the quarter mile. Building the revs up now, you'll see the tree count down differently. There goes Jeff Hogan, he's under his way, and Simon Farrell now has to catch over the top end. I think that the Maury Wilkie car, based on its qualifying and so forth, should take an easy win and cruises through to the top end. As we look at the long shot from the back of Eastern Creek Raceway here, Jeff Hogan 11.284, 120 mile an hour. Simon Farrell a losing 10.36 at 132.04. The next pairing of Super Comp Eliminator, Rob Napier in the altered up against Lucky Valeri. Napier's running B altered class, and this gives you some idea of the different types of car that we're seeing in Super Comp Eliminator here. And David, a crowd favourite on screen now.
Yes, Lucky Valeri's a big favourite. The big burnouts they get from these supercharged sedans. This car runs in AA gas. There we can see the sort of exciting action that the crowd love to see at Eastern Creek. AA gas, this car will be running on a 7.72 second record. That means it'll be leaving well ahead of Napier's 8.12 second handicap altered. That'll be about 4/10 of a second, so that should make it quite an exciting and interesting race.
Yes, the handicap racing allows us to have different classes. The Australian Drag Racing Association has various class structures, and all of the competition and superstock eliminators are based on an engine capacity versus the weight of the vehicle. So subsequently, we're able to come up with a formula that allows people to compete with different types of vehicles, and this is a classic case. You've got the sedan running in Super Comp Eliminator. Handicap start here as they move into the staging beams here at Eastern Creek Raceway. This is the Tui's Top Alcohol Showdown. In the wins lane, Lucky Valeri, and in the Snap-on Tools lane, Rob Napier. Napier gets a handicap start, but it's up to Valeri to drive around the outside, and he looks like he's doing this fairly comfortably. Valeri taking an easy win with a 7.89 second pass, 178 mile an hour. Rob Napier 878.
Okay, next round. Kelvin Sweeney versus Jock McLeod. That's Kelvin Sweeney on the screen now with his BMS Chevelle. Kelvin comes from Newcastle, been a very experienced racer, been around quite a long time. This is a very nicely presented car. And in the right-hand lane we have Jock McLeod's new 27 Roadster.
This is driven by Morris Leonard. This is a very sleek machine. It actually is a 1927 Roadster. There we see it just coming on screen now. Running as B altered, so as we see, there are a variety of classes with this Eliminator. A brand new car, and the boys have been very successful with it. He's running against Kelvin Sweeney. Kelvin, a very experienced racer. The car that he's driving, the big Chevelle, powered by a 454 cubic inch Chev. Running in BMS, which is modified sedan. So it's basically a stock type vehicles with a limited number of modification, as opposed to the Roadster, which is obviously an out and out race car.
Yes, Morris Leonard and Jock McLeod have put together a very stylish and swoopy car here. This is only its second meeting here at Eastern Creek. Brand new car, so it'll be interesting to see how it performs, but it's been running in the mid 8 second time versus Sweeney's mid 10 second time, so we're going to see about a 2 second difference in the performances.
Sweeney now away in the lead on the handicap start, but he looks like he's got a problem. Maury Leonard taking an easy drive around the outside, but Leonard's car's smoking pretty badly. Whoops, I think he's just legged the engine. Lots of smoke down there. The Morris Leonard car goes through with an 8.47 pass at 149 mile an hour, but look at the smoke pouring out of it. I'd say they've very severely hurt the engine, and there'll be a bit of a clean up here. We'll be back soon with some more racing from Eastern Creek Raceway. Welcome back to Sydney's Eastern Creek Raceway for the Tooheys Top Alcohol Showdown, and it's semi-finals time in Top Alcohol. On the screen, Harold Campbell in the Insanity Dodge Omni from Townsville, and his opposition, David, is going to make life hard.
Yes, David Glenwright in the Adrian Posibon AA Dragster. Posibon, a very classy combination here. Glenwright, a very good driver. He's going to make life very tough on Campbell, but look at that for a burnout. Almost all the way to the finish line. That is just sensational stuff. I doubt that Glenwright's going to put quite that effort in. I don't think he needs it.
Yes, there's no doubt that Harold Campbell is a true showman here today at Eastern Creek Raceway. Very popular all over Australia wherever he races. The car's called Insanity, and as we saw by the burnout, that's the reason. A very, very talented showman and a great racer in Australian drag racing.
Yes, he's enormously popular up in Townsville, where he comes from. Made a special effort all the way down here to Eastern Creek this weekend, and is returning, driving all the way back to race at Townsville again next week. But Harold Campbell has been known to do some pretty crazy things, and he's won quite a few races coming from the outside like this against much more highly favoured racers. So David Glenwright can't take this as a lay-down misère race.
Yes, Harold Campbell, of course, advanced because of the Steve Reed crash in the first round, but Adrian Posibon ran a great 6.15 at 226 mile per hour in the first round, so we would expect the Posibon dragster to advance. The dragster moving into stage in the wins lane, Harold Campbell in the Insanity car. These cars, they move into stage and they raise the revs to about 5,000 revs. As soon as the tree comes on, they're gone. A great lead there from Harold Campbell, gets out first, but he's a bit all over the track, and David Glenwright drives around the outside and takes the win. 6.42 at 219.62 mile per hour. Harold Campbell 6.75, 208 mile an hour for the lose. The final pairing in the semi-finals of the Tooheys Top Alcohol pits Jeff Burnett in the Altered up against Stan Tyndall in the Dragster.
Yes, Burnett, there we are, is on screen now. He's got a brand new engine. This engine was purchased from top American alcohol funny car racer Stan Seapost, and this is a very tough combination. Has one of these highly exotic PSI superchargers, screw-type superchargers. This car will be making about another 250 more horsepower than he had in his old car, and that one ran as quick as 6.35 seconds, becoming the second quickest alcohol altered in the world ever. So this car has the capacity here to dip way down into the very low sixes.
Okay, both of these virtually new combinations. Stan Tyndall, as we said earlier, his first race on Australian soil, has done extremely well to date. Jeff Burnett in the Altered, it's a new combination, a lot more horsepower. Altereds are always known for very radical handling, and that occurred yesterday in qualifying with Jeff Burnett, plenty of wheels up passes, and as they move into stage, we'll have to see how much he's been able to tame this combination. They're moving into stage now. Great lead from Burnett, but he moves around a fair bit on the track. Both of the cars are. Burnett seems to have something off the car, and Tyndall sneaks by for the win. Tyndall just getting there as they go over the top end with a 6.57 to 183 mile per hour. Jeff Burnett an improving 666, but obviously a problem there with the car having a hose come off. We now have a special grudge run here. Steve Harker in the McGee engine funny car had some problems, wasn't able to make first round, so he's going to have a little bit of a bonus matchup with John Noonan in the Dragster.
Yes, Harker had some problems with oil pressure. In fact, he was getting so much oil pressure it was blowing the bottom out of the oil filters, and that's why he couldn't make the first round, but he's keen to run the car here. He's got a new combination in the McGee engine, quad cam engine, and he feels confident the car should be able to run 6.2 second times. Noonan is keen once again to try and sort out this new smaller cubic inch. It's still 450 cubic inches, but for him it's a new combination. He's keen to get that together, and he promises to give Steve Harker a very good run for his money here.
Okay, as Steve Harker backs up in the Snap-on Tools lane, Steve Harker in qualifying ran a 6.305 pass. So again, the speed and performance of these cars right into the low sixes. John Noonan there, apparently in the first round he actually knocked the fuel shut off, and subsequently that was the reason the car didn't actually hurt anything, but unfortunately he knocked the fuel shut off. It's just one of those things that happens in racing, so he's out to put some numbers down here. This should be a very interesting race. The track is coming around fairly well, fair bit of traction. The Top Gun dragster in the wins lane and Steve Harker in the Snap-on Tools lane. Both of these competitors coming from Brisbane to race here at Eastern Creek Raceway, and really the backbone of top alcohol racing in Sydney.
Yes, Steve Harker, this is his last race in this car, has a brand new car on the way. We'll see that at the next Eastern Creek events. Okay, Harker well out there. Noonan again got problems. Looks like he's backfired the engine. And Harker crosses the finish line for a win. 6.37, 223 miles per hour over Noonan's coasting 6.63. So Harker does not get his 6.2 second run out of his old car.
Moving now to the final of Super Comp Eliminator. We're down to the finals section of the racing and program. On the screen, Jeff Hogan in the Wilkie Engines CMS Monaro, and he will be up against Lucky Valeri in the crowd-pleasing Commodore AA Gasser.
Yes, Jeff Hogan taking the runner-up honours at the first race at Eastern Creek's new 1992-93 season. Lucky Valeri there putting in the big numbers on the burnout. That heats the tyres up, gets them much better traction. It's not just for show. This helps the performance of the cars greatly. Puts down a layer of hot sticky rubber on the track. The cars can back up in that rubber, keep the tyres hot, keep the tyres sticky, and it really helps the cars get away from the start line a lot better.
Okay, a handicap start here. The AA gas car running off a 7.74 track record and an 11.32 for the CMS car. You see the Monaro leaves now, wheels up. It's a fairly big heavy car, but watch Valeri's car around the outside. The AA gas a lot of mile an hour over the top and literally drives away for a great win there. Lucky Valeri taking the win in Super Comp Eliminator with an 8.09 170 mile an hour pass. Jeff Hogan a losing 11.63. Moving now to the final of Super Modified Eliminator, pits number 1 and number 2 qualifiers into the final. The dragster of Jeff Penton's up against the AA gas car of Benny Gatt.
Okay, there we got Gatt on screen. These guys like to do their burnout in traction compound. That's a glue-like substance they can put down under the tyres that just helps to get extra added adhesion to the ground. There's Penton in the background. He's doing a big burnout again in his small block Chevy powered dragster. This car has run 750s in the past, but they've dialed the horsepower back to bring it back to that 790 index, so that these two cars should be pretty evenly matched.
Super Comp, of course, being a heads-up eliminator as they move into the staging lane. Once again, the pro start. Both of these cars qualified with 8.0s and been running 8.0s all day, so this will be an interesting one. Very, very even start there. This will be a very close race over the top end. Both of them plenty of horsepower. It's going to be Penton just makes it by, I would reckon, a half a car length. Jeff Penton takes the win in Super Modified with an 8.14, 164 mile per hour. Benny Gatt runner-up with an 8.12 at 165 mile per hour. Jeff Penton just cruising into the braking area after taking the win in Modified Eliminator.
Okay, the final of Top Alcohol, Tui's Top Alcohol. We have Stan Tyndall on the screen, and he'll be running against David Glenwright in the Adrian Posabon dragster. This is a heads-up AA dragster race, dragster versus dragster, heads-up start. This promises to be quite a good race and a good show for the crowd. Glenwright has run that 6.1 second time earlier today. That was under the track 6.21 second record. Let's see if he can back it up to get to claim the record here today.
Yes, as they both undertake the burnouts, as we've seen, it's developed. It really has been a dragster race today. Top Alcohol containing dragsters, alters and funny cars, but certainly a domination in today's racing conditions by the dragster. Stan Tyndall, as we keep saying, the first time out, and boy oh boy, I think this car is going to be really developing into one of the leading cars in Australian top alcohol racing.
Yes, you saw his burnout there was very limited. Stan's being very cautious about how he drives this car, about how he gets it off the line. You've seen he's given away a fair bit of time on the start line to the other race cars and just driven around them with the performance and the power of this car. So when he learns how to handle this, how to drive it, how to get it off the start line, he's going to be one tough customer.
Okay, moving into stage now, Stan Tyndall, they just closed the visor down. Of course, these cars running 230 mile an hour. If you make a mistake and leave that visor up, you just literally can't see. Very, very important safety in drag racing as we move into staging for the final race in the Tui's Top Alcohol Showdown. In the wins lane, David Glenwright. In the Snap-on Tools lane, Stan Tyndall. Engine revs about to come up now as they make their final staging moves. It's then up to the starter. Three's on its way. A great lead there from David Glenwright. Literally got 2 car length start from the start, and away he goes for a very easy win. Stan Tyndall slows right down, obviously has struck a problem. Adrian Posibon's car, driven by David Glenwright, taking the win with 6.38 second, 215 mile per hour pass to win the Tui's Top Alcohol Showdown. Well, it's been a great day's racing here at Eastern Creek Raceway as David Glenwright goes to get out of the car and pulling up in the braking area. Thank you for joining us on Sky Channel, and we look forward to you being back for the next time we're racing at Eastern Creek.